Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I wanted to do a quick video on the Sephora Platinum Airbrush series of brushes. I've already done a video on the number 55 Platinum Airbrush, which is super popular. Everyone loves it. It's been out for quite a while. It's probably the best-selling brush from Sephora. You can't get really anything like this, at least that I've seen anywhere else from another brand. It's a really unique brush, but recently they've added two new brushes to the Platinum Airbrush collection, and this one is called the 56, and then this one is called the 57. So they kind of get smaller as the numbers get bigger. So you have the 55, the 56, and the 57. So I recently picked up the 56 and the 57, and I just kind of wanted to do a quick video on the uses of these brushes, the difference of these brushes, and just in general review them because I think they're really, really great brushes, and I just want to, you know, spread the word about how awesome they are. So like I said, the 55 is the biggest of the three. It's been out a long time. It's a tapered, dome-shaped synthetic brush. The most common use for this is a liquid foundation. You kind of pounce the foundation onto the brush and then stipple it all over the face, and you can swirl. It retails for $34. Like I said, synthetic hairs, so you can use liquid and cream products with it. Sorry, my phone just went off. Unlike, you know, other synthetic brushes like the Sigma F80, which is a flat top, this is a domed top. So it's not going to be quite as heavy of a coverage level as something like the F80 from Sigma. This is going to give you a lot more full coverage. It's a little bit more dense. This is dense, but it's not so dense that, you know, you're picking up a ton of product. Also with this, I've found that it's best to use foundations that are really liquidy. If you have like a really thick, creamy foundation, this brush isn't going to really be able to blend it out very well because it has that sort of tapered shape. It doesn't do a good job moving around really thick consistency products or really creamy products. So you just have to be careful with that. So one day I was using this brush and I was like, wow, this is my favorite brush. I reach for this foundation brush probably more than any other foundation brush, but I felt like it was a little bit big at times. Depending on the foundation I'm using, I felt like it wasn't very precise. You know, it is really quick, which is nice. You know, you can pretty much buff it all over your face in a matter of minutes, but it isn't the most precise application because it is pretty big. And I was like, wow, I really wish that Sephora would make a smaller version of their number 55 airbrush. And one of my Twitter followers was like, oh, they do actually. It just came out. It's called the number 56. And so then I went to Sephora to check out the number 56, which is right here. And to compare these two, the 56 is a little shorter. It's also a little bit more dense. And the shape of it is slightly different, and that the 55 is very round. And the 56 is a little bit more pinched, so it's a little bit more, has a little bit more of a flat profile. Now this brush reminds me of a denser version of my Coastal Scents black foundation brush. As you can see, they're both kind of, you know, bushy, and they have the same kind of shape, except this 56 is a lot more dense. This is definitely way less dense, and also the hairs feel slightly different. I like the hairs on the Sephora one better. It's a little bit more velvety, a little bit more soft. And this one retails for $32. And I've been absolutely loving this brush for the thicker, heavier cream foundation products. I used it today and it literally buffs the product so well. It gives such a good airbrush finish. I used it with my new, let me see if I can grab it, guys, sorry, my new Amazonian Clay Full Coverage Balancing Foundation. This came in the Tarte Amazonian Clay 7th Wonder, or 8th Wonder of the World collection, and it's a really thick, creamy foundation. So this is the kind of foundation that you wouldn't want to use the 55 airbrush with, but if you have more of those thick, creamy foundations like CoverGirl Nature Luxe would be another example of kind of a thicker foundation. This one, even the Smooth Operator I think is a little bit thicker. Matte Velvet Plus is a little bit thicker. You know, I have a lot of these foundations that are very thick formula, and unfortunately I really can't use my 55 for that. But the 56 is awesome. It's also great because it's a little bit more precise. You can really kind of get under your eye area a little bit better, around the nose. It also has a more of a flat shape, so you can pat it. You can buff it or you can pat it. So I tend to sort of spread it out, using one side, spread out the product, and then start buffing it in, and then go back through with a little bit more foundation and just pat it in the areas. So I really like both of these brushes, but I think that, you know, if you have really liquidy foundations, more of the lightweight, you know, not really thick, creamy foundations, go with the 55. If you have more of the thick foundations that are harder to move around your face, go with the 56. Also, if you want a little bit more precise application, go with the 56. The only thing I will say, the 56 requires a little bit more elbow grease than the 55 because it is a little bit smaller and more dense. You have to really use a lot of elbow grease to buff it out. So it's a little bit more challenging, but you know, the practice behind both of these brushes is pretty much the same. Now the third brush I wanted to touch briefly on is another one that's awesome, seriously amazing, especially for buffing concealer in, and it's the 57. Now the 57 is $24, and it's much smaller than both the 55 and the 56. It is sort of just, it's like a dome-shaped eyeshadow brush almost, but it's the same synthetic material as both the 55 and the 56, and it's again just that traditional dome-shaped brush. So it is awesome for concealing. I don't know about you guys, I just don't like using my hands. I don't like using my hands, my fingers for foundation, for concealer. I just am not a fan of it. So I love this for concealer because I'll usually just swipe a little bit of a V underneath my eye, and then I'll just kind of pounce it on there and then just swirl it and just blend it out, and then the excess product, you know, get around the nose, get on the chin, get on any blemishes you have. It really is awesome because it buffs the product out really easily because it's so dense, and it just really gets away with all those lines, all those streaks, all the, you know, kind of using a flat concealer brush I think can look really, really stripey, and I don't think it makes the coverage look as well. You end up using like too much product, and then it ends up kind of just dragging across your face. The brush drags the product across the face instead of really distributing it and blending it. So I would definitely suggest checking out this number 57 if you need a good brush for under eye concealer, for other, you know, kind of larger areas of concealing. I wouldn't use this for like really precise concealing because, as you can see, you know, it's not huge obviously compared to like the 55, but it's not a really precise brush. Like you wouldn't want to use this on like one little pimple probably, but you would want to use it on if you have a bigger blemish or you have a bigger area like the whole under eye area or the chin area that you like to use a little bit more heavy coverage. You could also use this with a foundation to kind of just get that more precise application in certain areas or help blend out certain areas of your foundation. So anyway, I just can't say enough about all three of these brushes. They're definitely amazing brushes. They're a little bit pricey, but I think well worth the investment. So as I mentioned, the 55 is $34, the 56 is $32, and the 57 is $24. These kind of brushes really aren't available anywhere else. Sigma doesn't make brushes like this. Target doesn't make brushes like this. You know, it's really hard to find brushes like this. So if you do like the 55, you know, as I do, I've had it forever and it's a really good quality brush. I've washed these a million times and they've never gotten like bad quality or anything falling apart or anything. I would definitely recommend checking out the other two. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, and leave me a comment below if you have any questions. Bye!